Their intent is clear. They want consumers to be able to have faith in the reviews that they see posted and read through to make an informed buying decision. That's always been what people would think they would be getting with reviews, but often haven't.
Yeah. So today, Matt, I just wanted to go over some kind of current events type stuff that I think is pressing and that anyone selling online really should be appraised of some of these more recent happenings, some of these as recent as just this month. So the first one I've got on the agenda is the FTC just announced a final rule about basically banning fake reviews and testimonials. And the overarching goal is to kind of address what has been a problem since the dawn of the internet, which is just fake testimonials and feedback related to products and services. We'll include all the articles, of course, in the show notes, but I found, like, just as a few takeaways, some really interesting language that, in my opinion, and I want to know yours, Matt, it's to me clear that they're going after third-party retailers like Amazon, but also just some of the language of these rulings, they really leave no ambiguity, meaning, it's not only whether or not this was violated or if the review is knowingly fake or the testimonial, but they're putting the onus on the companies, in this case, to should have known. And there's some really interesting language that they kind of use to hedge themselves. So plausible deniability, my interpretation, won't be an acceptable excuse in some of these cases. Something also interesting, just kind of reading, this is kind of fresh off some more recent headlines. The penalties are as high as $52,000 for folks that are found in violation of some of these rulings. And obviously, we're not going to read the whole article. People can do that on their own time, but just a few things that really stood out to me within the ruling, and it's pretty all-encompassing. But the buying of positive or negative reviews. So this final rule prohibits businesses from providing compensation or other incentives. I think the critical thing there is other incentives, right? And a lot of people who are engaged in any kind of review promotion type stuff, they're not explicitly just saying, hey, I'll give you money, give me a good review. They're saying, hey, I'll give you a discount. I'll, buy one, get one, right? Promotions related to the sale of the product or additional benefits. So I thought that was really going after not only explicit, I'll give you $5 if you give me a positive review on Amazon, but other incentives this is considered no longer allowed. And then also they go after the intent and name that pretty explicitly, writing up consumer reviews expressing a particular sentiment, either positive or negative. So this means, right, for a while, right, this was kind of the default TOS on Amazon, was to say, hey, leave me an honest review, right? So you could never, from as long as I've been selling on, Marketplace, Amazon, which is a long time, you can never say, hey, give me a 5-star review. But the kind of coded language was, leave me an honest review and, da. So that's something that I think is pretty interesting, where they're really explicitly going after that directly. What are your thoughts, Matt, on kind of this just initial out of the gate? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, this has been, as you said, right, from the beginning of time, it's been a long-standing issue, because if you think about who the stakeholders are, right, from Amazon or any marketplace's standpoint, they benefit from having the products that they're selling or hosting look good by the proxy of having good reviews, right? So good reviews, the seller must be good. I must be, be able to trust this. I'm happy to purchase here versus a place that doesn't provide reviews or whatever. And then from the merchant standpoint, again, right, if I have a product that looks a lot like yours, but I have 5,000 5-star reviews and you have 50 4.5-star review average, I'm more likely to get the sale. So I'm incentivized to have good reviews. Amazon's incentivized to have their products have good reviews. The only person who really cares about having accurate, unbiased reviews is the consumer, and they don't get a say in it.
Right.
So this is the FTC trying to step up what, you would hope the companies would do themselves, but aren't as incentivized to do because of the reasons I just gave. So the FTC is saying, look, but we really want you, and now are requiring you to take positive action to make sure that the reviews that you're hosting or the reviews that you're posting or getting posted for your products are in fact accurate, unbiased, unincentivized. How well this will work remains to be seen, how they'll exactly enforce it. And I concur that, they're trying to rule out plausible deniability and say, hey, we don't write these reviews. Customers can say whatever they want. How do we know if that's not really But, that's remains to be seen how they enforce it. But obviously their intent is clear. They want consumers to be able to have faith in the reviews that they see posted and read through to make an informed buying decision. That's always been what people would think they would be getting with reviews, but often haven't.
Yeah.
So I think the FTC is letting people know, hey, we're putting some teeth behind the idea that we want honest, unbiased reviews. And I think this will probably cause problems for people who were selling reviews. And there are places you could go to buy as many 5-star reviews as you wanted, or you could buy 1-star reviews to get posted for your competition. You could do both.
Yeah, right.
So they're trying to shut that down. I think that the intent is good. The results, we will see.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting. The part, right, that and people who have sold in specifically cutthroat categories on Amazon will know is it's not only people trying to boost their own positive reviews, but really sometimes very targeted attacks around reviews for competitors that are done by sellers and companies that are less than ethical. This is a huge problem on platforms like Amazon, and depending on the category, it's really quite rampant. Amazon has done, I think, a lot recently, and these. I mean, I'm no legal scholar, but these rulings take time, and I'm sure Amazon has caught wind of that. The winds were blowing in this direction for some time. So I've just noticed as a seller myself, Amazon trying to use a lot of AI to just detect reviews, and they are doing a ton of work and have been for some time around just trying to detect if a review is false or whether it's AI generated or potentially coming from a competitor with malintent. So I see them putting in the work on this side. But another aspect of this that I think is interesting is I know of, and I know you do too, quite a few businesses that are kind of built around this kind of a review generation side of this. And I don't even think many of them are unethical, or I'm not accusing anyone of doing something that's not above board, but businesses dedicated around this idea of, hey, you're going to, do these package inserts in your products. And for a long time, right, this has been kind of a gray area on Amazon where you're not supposed to do this, or you can do this, but you have to word it just right. And I think Amazon, for their own benefit, kind of keeps it a little bit vague. But if you're a merchant fulfilling a product, you can really put anything you want in the package or the item, and Amazon's never going to have hands on that product to really be the wiser. And so this sort of practice, and there are companies like literally multi-million-dollar businesses that are kind of dedicated to helping sellers kind of ramp up a program of incentives around review generation, because anyone who's launched a product on Amazon or any third-party marketplace knows firsthand one of the hardest things to accomplish in the launch phase is to get those early reviews. So I think about that, what kind of risk that this might put. I foresee some entire businesses kind of at a systemic risk that exists to basically help sellers in the launch phase of products in this review generation side. And I think many of them aren't doing anything unethical or above board, but they have just kind of capitalized on this gray area on Amazon around this, or what was previously a gray area. And there are some sellers who pay a lot of money for certain programs around this, offering incentives to customers on Amazon, which is now, clear as day. You could be on the hook for $52,000 if you're caught doing that potentially. I couldn't agree more with you on the enforcement side. I really don't know how a lot of this will be enforced, but yeah, I'm curious your thoughts on that.
I don't know. That's a good question. I obviously, if you're a new seller or even just an experienced seller launching a brand new product, it is very difficult to figure out how to go about getting reviews because, let's be honest, right? Most of us are ordering from Amazon because we don't have time to go to the store to find something,
Yeah.
right? The last thing I have time to do is sit down and write a well thought out, fair and balanced review of some product, especially if it's, something, commodity, right? I buy some bungee cords. Who cares? I'm going to sit down and write, the bungee cords really seem to have a nice elasticity.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. So if you're the seller of those products, how do you possibly get somebody to care without incentivizing them to take the time to do it? And now if incentivizing is off the table, that just really is a challenge. But at the same time, I don't know how they're going to know if you're doing it low key. If you got a Facebook group of friends, can you guys please, buy them, right? I really appreciate it and whatever, right? And sort of low key, right? You can't do it at scale. You can't do it, for maybe industrial products. It just wouldn't make sense. Like, I'm not going to buy a $5,000 scissor lift off Amazon so I can
Right,
give you a
right,
5-star review.
right.
But, that I think how exactly they will enforce it for a lot of the places it could happen is unclear. But I think maybe they don't care about you getting 5 or 10 reviews from friends to at least kickstart the reviews. I think this is probably is targeted more at the review farms, the
Yeah,
large scale abuse, the negative, the doxing or whatever you call it online when you give somebody
yeah,
50, 1-star reviews, or you say your pet food made my dog sick, and you just make that up because that's your competition. I think if they're going to go after anyone, it's going to be those people doing it at volume and doing it with intent to game the system at a higher level than somebody who gets 5 friends to buy their, you know, whatever, their table
right,
lamp
right.
and write them some reviews.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and it's kind of your hope always, right, with these governing bodies and the enforcement agencies behind them is right. Whether it's the FTC or the IRS, you don't want the IRS going after your grandma because she made a mistake and missed some payment. You want them going after real criminals, people who are actually exploiting these laws and causing real harm in a lot of cases to consumers. And so, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I don't know the extent of the enforcement capabilities behind what the FTC is committed to doing here, but you certainly hope it's not someone who's trying to get started. You really hope it's them going after some of these larger review or bot farms, which totally exist. And I can say from someone who's been selling on these platforms for a while, there are categories and listings rife with that sort of behavior. And they talk about this a little bit in the ruling, right? This is by design supposed to protect sellers and companies that are playing by the rules, right? There are a lot of people who don't engage in any sort of review promotion of any kind. They're not trying to, engage with customers in any way other than the organic process of what you said. Some percentage of people who buy an item will leave a review, and for a lot of commodity goods, especially, it's pretty low. But over time, after a certain amount of sales, you'll have some amount of reviews. So, in theory, this protects this group of businesses that are playing by the rules, that are ethical from that standpoint. I don't know if I worry about this, but I do think about this. The barrier to entry is so much higher now, right? If you're the incumbent in the space who's had this, this listing since 2009, and he or she has 50,000 reviews, now more than ever, you're going to come in and the tools at your disposal to sort of close that gap are smaller than ever now. So I do think potentially this kind of is a limiting factor on disruption for certain categories in the space. I think incumbents now, they have a much higher chance of, all things equal, maintaining that sort of lead. But I don't know. I think by design, obviously, this is good. And like we were saying before, I really hope who this targets and who this addresses are people who are really doing, unethical practices when it comes to review generation and bot farms and all of that.